Golden Iris Productions presents Missionary Family Adventures, Beneath the Volcano, Part 7, from the book by Mark F. Dennis. Introduction. This is the story of an American missionary family and their remarkable journey to Japan. It is a story of faith, family, adventure, and growing up between two cultures. It is the story of how an ordinary family from America found themselves living beneath one of the most active volcanoes in the world. The events you are about to hear are not fiction. They are real memories from a childhood spent in the mountains of Japan. They are stories of ocean voyages, mountain trails, train rides, cultural discoveries, and the experiences that shaped an entire family. To understand how we came to live in such an extraordinary place, we begin not in America, but beneath the shadow of a volcano in the Japanese Alps. Historical disclaimer. This series faithfully presents the writings and memories of missionary Dick Dennis. His observations about religion, culture, and society reflect his sincerely held evangelical Christian beliefs during the 1960s. They are presented in their historical context to preserve the authenticity of his family's story and are not intended as commentary on the beliefs of others today.
Part 7. Union Church. The Dennis family faithfully attended church every Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and almost every Wednesday night. Dick occasionally preached in Japanese churches with an interpreter, while he and Millie often sang duets during the services. During the summer, the family attended English services and Sunday school at Union Church, which the children greatly enjoyed. Vacation Bible School was also a highlight of every summer. History of Union Church. Karuizawa Union Church began informally in 1897 through missionary Daniel Norman. In 1906, the original church building was moved from the train station to its present location beside the tennis courts. The church was extensively remodeled in 1917. Today, it is a large wooden building seating well over 100 people and serves as the center for summer evangelical conferences as well as Sunday worship. The tennis courts. Across the street from Union Church are the famous Karuizawa tennis courts. It was here that Crown Prince Akihito and Michiko first met in 1957. After their marriage, they returned each summer to play tennis in the cool mountain air. During their visit, the Union Church parking lot became part of the imperial grounds, filled with police and security protecting the imperial family. Mark meets the Crown Princess. As a teenager, Mark unknowingly pushed his dirt bike through the middle of the police guarding Crown Princess Michiko during a concert. Being obviously too young to be riding on the streets, he was stopped by the police. As the concert ended, he remembered the Crown Princess smiling and waving from her limousine. After the motorcade departed, Mark and his motorcycle were taken to the police station for questioning.
The Shinto Shrine. Directly behind Union Church stood Suwa Jinja, Karuizawa's oldest Shinto shrine. The torii gate marked the entrance, leading to sacred stones and ancient trees believed to be inhabited by spirits. For the young missionary children, this was a frightening place. Older missionary boys told stories of demons haunting the shrine, making the younger children afraid to enter its grounds. Festival of the Dead. Each year, the Bon Matsuri, or Festival of the Dead, was held at the shrine. Thousands of visitors came to worship and honor their ancestors. Missionaries viewed this as an important opportunity for evangelism. The previous year alone, they distributed 50,000 gospel tracts, and many people made decisions for Christ during the festival. Heathenish rhythm. Even from their homes several miles away, the missionaries could hear the slow beat of the large festival drum. In the nearby park, dancers dressed in colorful kimonos circled a raised platform while musicians played traditional music. Although the missionaries believed these ceremonies honored the spirits of the dead, They also saw the crowds as an opportunity to preach the gospel. Thousands of people passed directly by Union Church each evening. The park. Across from the shrine was the large town park where the festival was held each year. The children enjoyed catching tadpoles and frogs in the fountain during the spring. They also waited for the yakimo vendor selling hot sweet potatoes and watched bunraku puppet shows. Another unforgettable attraction was the traveling medicine man, who amazed crowds with dramatic demonstrations using jars of snakes preserved in sake. Unequaled in the world. Long before the Meiji era, Karuizawa was a resting place for travelers crossing the mountain passes. In the 1880s, Canadian missionary Alexander Croft Shaw discovered its cool climate and natural beauty. He built a summer home here and encouraged other missionaries to do the same. Soon, Karuizawa became a beautiful international resort filled with churches, missionary compounds, and summer homes, a place Shaw believed was unequaled in the world. The Wilsons' Cabin, a new home. In August 1967, the Dennis family moved to the Wilsons' cabin on the Team Center compound in Karuizawa. Located beside the tennis courts and near the river, it was much closer to the intermission language school where Dick would study during the coming year. Unlike many of the summer cabins, the Wilson cabin was equipped for the cold mountain winters. Team Center belonged to the Evangelical Alliance Mission of Wheaton, Illinois, and served as a gathering place for missionaries from many countries. Since the days of Alexander Croft Shaw in the 1880s, Karuizawa had been a refuge where missionaries came for rest, fellowship, language study, and the summer evangelical conferences. What time is it? Christmas of 1967 brought packages from the United States filled with gifts from family and friends. Grandpa gave Mark a beautiful gold pocket watch. Delighted with his new treasure, he admired it only briefly before curiosity took over. Wanting to discover what made it tick, he carefully took it apart until springs and gears covered his bed. Dick was not surprised. Mark had developed a habit of taking almost everything apart to learn how it worked. Soon he was making pottery from backyard clay, mixing homemade cement from crushed lava rock, and building his own playground slide. Unfortunately, he built it over a tree stump, making for a very painful landing. The family also remembered the cuckoo clock hanging in the living room. Every hour the little bird appeared, just like the real cuckoo birds in the mountains. One day, young Nate swallowed the clock's winding key. Thankfully, the key was eventually recovered, though not in the way anyone would have preferred. The monorail track. While expecting another baby, Millie traveled to Tokyo for a doctor's appointment and to renew her passport. The night before the trip, a tremendous crash awakened the family. Thinking lightning had struck the house, Dick and Millie rushed into Mark's room and discovered that he had fallen from the top bunk. The next morning, Mark explained what had happened. He had dreamed he was walking along the Tokyo monorail tracks when a train suddenly approached. In his dream, he jumped to safety, but in reality, he had jumped right out of bed. Thankfully, he escaped without injury, providing yet another unforgettable family story. Little Lost Mark. During another trip to Tokyo in January 1968, the family made their way through the crowded Shibuya station. After leaving the station, they suddenly realized that 7-year-old Mark was missing. With millions of people surrounding them and Mark unable to speak Japanese, finding him seemed almost impossible. As Dick retraced their steps, a Japanese woman appeared, leaving a tearful Mark by the hand. Hearing him cry, she guessed he had become separated from his parents. Speaking perfect English, she found the family waiting near another train entrance, turning what could have been a tragedy into a story of kindness and God's protection. Traveling by train. The best way to travel in Japan was by train, since traffic on the highways could be dreadful. Even then, train travel could be difficult, especially during rush hour in the cities. One day, Dick found himself on a train so crowded that he was forced to stand between two cars because there wasn't room anywhere inside. The crowds were almost impossible to imagine. People lay on the floor, sat in the aisles, stood shoulder to shoulder, and even crawled under the seats just to find a place. If you were trapped in the middle of the car and needed to get off, the only way out was to remove your shoes, climb onto the seat backs, and carefully walk over the heads of the passengers. On one trip, Dick stood between two train cars with nearly 10 other passengers for almost an hour before there was enough room to squeeze inside. At the busiest stations, platform attendants actually pushed people into the cars like sardines so the doors could close before the train departed.
Baby Danny. The biggest news of the year was the long-awaited arrival of Daniel Eric on February 1st, 1968. Both Millie and baby Daniel returned to Karuizawa in less than a week and were doing very well. While in the labor room, Millie heard the cries of the newborn babies and remarked that they sounded like a room full of little squealing pigs. After Daniel was born, Millie returned to the same room and once again heard the babies crying. This time she smiled and said they sounded like the sweetest music in the world. Soon afterward, the Dennis family began preparing to leave Japan. On May 18, 1968, they departed for a furlough, traveling through the Soviet Union and Europe before returning to the United States for a well-earned time of rest.
To be continued. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this presentation, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. For more content, visit my 2 YouTube channels. Mark F. Dennis at Golden Iris Knowledge Quest, where we explore physics, cosmology, science, and emerging ideas about the structure of the universe. And Mark F. Dennis at Golden Iris Religion Quest, where we examine religion, spirituality, biblical studies, Jewish mysticism, and the history of religious thought. Your support helps these channels continue to grow and allows me to create more presentations, books, and educational content. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.